Oh Lord, I'm waiting on you. Oh Lord, I'm waiting on you.
Could you talk about the role of the church, the former black church?
Matter of fact, I started out, only thing I ever known was, in terms of speaking, and was the preachers, in terms of being able to vocally speak. The only other element I knew was the pool room, because I left school where I had not a good experience. I left school, quit school in probably 7th grade, after flunking 3-4 times. And I'm happy I did. And went to the pool room where I received good education from the brothers, very much so, and found great brotherhood and what have you. But then you had the church, and the church was there and what have you. But inside of the movement, went to the movement, the church is where we had most of our meetings, many of our meetings, even though most of the churches was locked and wouldn't let us in. Most of them were scared they were going to get burned down.
Talk about that.
The preachers were scared the church going to burn down. People had great fear in many towns that we operated and went in, and there's so many churches, even in Birmingham and around, they locked their doors and were scared to allow Dr. King or allow Snick and us to use their churches. They were scared. I remember one time we took a load, got people to send some food or clothing down to Mississippi, and we wanted to use the church to do it. And the church doors were locked, and we kicked the door down and said, "This is God's church." And we said, "Put the food there and tell people to come get it. This is God's church. How you gonna lock the damn door?" But many churches were locked, but there were those churches that we used and that opened their doors, and we had our mass meetings there, and the Shallow and Albany and many churches, and that we would fill them churches up with people, Martin King and all us coming to speak. I remember, like in Birmingham, I guess we were trained speaking in. We'd be up there speaking, and Martin King was the big speaker, and he was always the #1 speaker, and the preachers and whatever. But then they would have us younger people to come. We would always speak before Martin, and we get up there and we make our little talks, and make our little speeches, and we would learn, I guess Martin would stand there and speak, but I noticed a cultural dance that Martin did.
Talk to me about that.
It's just the movement, just certain movements that you make, and it helps get you relaxed and help bring your thoughts out. And I've noticed Martin doing that, and I used to come behind him and do that, and maybe I call it a little dance as you speak, and you move it and you speak and what have you. And we were doing that more. I guess we were in our training and learning how to speak and whatever, but we would speak, and then 3 or 4 or 5 of us would speak, and then it's gone up, and then other preachers then come on all the way to Martin, and Martin speak and whatever. And we did that every night in Birmingham and in South Georgia and whatever. And then, but we made our speeches and inside the churches, and the churches played a major role in terms of us having somewhere to speak and somewhere to have our meetings, and many preachers opened them doors up and played a very heroic role toward the movement and with the movement, and made the movement very strong. As a matter of fact, I remember one time, I think it's in Belzona, Mississippi, where we were in a mass meeting, and outside the mass meeting, the sheriff and the white people were out there with guns all around the church and rifles and lights, and I remember Meg Evans in the church, and this was probably in '63, and I remember coming out that church and just seeing all that you could just see terror, just hatred, and just people ready to attack the community. People have to walk through that and go and face different kinds of violence, and white folks following them home or getting their pictures and going doing stuff to them on the plantation, wherever they may live, and all that. But the church played a major role in terms of allowing us to come in there and preach and come in there and march and use the church as a stepping stone to make our attacks and demonstrations and what have you. So we had many great heroic preachers.
When you were speaking, let's talk about, you said in your typical meeting before Dr. King would speak, the younger folk like yourself would speak leading up to him. Reflect on the process. What was going through your mind in developing what you were going to say to people who were at those meetings?
We were going to talk about freedom.
Okay.
And freedom was our text.
Okay.
And that we were talking about how we were going to march, how we were going to demonstrate, and it was just to motivate the people that we would fight and we would win and we would be on the front line and just those little simple things, and that it wasn't very complicated at all. And that and most of our texts and education was coming from the daily singing and praises that we were doing all day long. So through doing that, and we were getting our texts and what we would say that night.
One theory is that since your preachers were so heavily involved, that came from the preachers. The other theory is that came from the folk, because the church and the services of the church were so deeply ingrained in the folk. And can you give me your impression of where it came from?
Well, it always comes from the people.
Okay.
But just remember now, prior to probably especially the civil rights movement, the only kind of education we had, the only kind of spokesman we had was basically the church. And the only kind of thing we knew was the church. The only kind of speakers we knew was the church. The only kind of, so it was the church and that philosophy that all of us was a part of, and that's what we knew. And that we didn't know nothing else. And that so when we started singing freedom songs, it was only natural to sing church songs and then put freedom in the words instead of Jesus, instead of heaven. We put freedom and fight and stuff like that. So everybody, the only philosophy they knew was probably the philosophies and the histories that they had known from the church.
What about the freedom schools? Were you teaching singing? Were you teaching songs?
Well, people could sing now. You didn't have to teach no singing.
You didn't have to teach. Talk about that.
Oh, you have to teach. Africans can sing. We could sing. And them little girls and sang us like little Christian girl, whatever, Dear Christian and Joanne and all them little girls, just many. You could just name them from everywhere. And they stand up and start singing, "Oh, freedom." And their voice was so good. And then by them singing them songs, they would look like such giants and such warrior little girls. And they would sing, "Oh, freedom." And we would get to dancing and singing them songs. And look like we were shouting, singing them songs and just getting courage. And just by them singing them songs, that means that Bull Connor one more time around. They said, "Man, we sang that and get into it." And so, hell, when you put Bull Connor in front of us, after with singing these songs, he would get moved out the way. And they bring them dogs out and we sing that song, and dogs coming at you to bite you, get you a bite, but I ain't turning around. And them kids leading, and that voice, that powerful voice that them children singing and put out there, we used to call them the freedom singers, but you had many groups singing, everybody singing. And then them old women singing, shit, man, we didn't mind going to death. And that, so them songs was educating us and telling stories, talking about, it's good to nobody, because a woman mind freedom. That means you weren't scared, nobody. And it's good to your dog, because a woman mind freedom. And bomb, they throwing bombing the churches, bombing the hotel, bombing the school. So it's good to your bomb, because a woman mind freedom. Yeah, we weren't scared of bomb. They bombed the house. Shit, we go, let's go. Bring the next bomb, we face it. Sing it like you mean it.